We're speaking with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. He's a lifelong Republican who came under intense fire from President Trump after the 2020 election. During an hour-long call in January of 2021, then President Trump said this to Raffensperger.
Look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Trump has denied trying to interfere with Georgia's election results and still makes false claims about widespread voter fraud in 2020. Raffensperger responds in his new book, Integrity Counts. Thank you so much for joining us, Secretary Raffensperger.
Good evening.
So you make it clear in your book that you believe that Trump was making a threat in that January phone call. Tell us more about how the president's words landed with you.
Well, the call stands on its own merits. You can listen to it. And that's why I wrote the book, Integrity Counts. I put that in there and also my observations of what that happened. I knew what he was trying to do and trying to really, I guess, cajole us. But at the end of the day, he didn't have the numbers. I had the data. I had the numbers. We knew that the truth was on our side. But we had a wave and avalanche of misinformation, disinformation. So that's why I wrote Integrity Counts.
When you were actually in the midst of the call, in the moment, was some part of you in a little bit of disbelief?
I thought it would probably be a 5-10 minute call, something of that nature, not 1 hour and 10 minutes. And so many of the things that we talked about were repeated several times. They were made mention that he said 5,000 dead people had voted. His people actually said 10,000, and there was less than 5. And there was all the other issues. But at the end of the day, what I put in my book is that 28,000 Georgians skipped the presidential ballot. They didn't vote for anyone, and yet they voted down ballot. And Senator David Perdue got 20,000 more votes in Metro Atlanta and Athens than President Trump did. And in the Republican congressional areas, President Trump got 33,000 less votes than the Republican congressman. And so my book sets the record straight. I have 10 pages of footnotes. Everything can be supported by the facts.
The incident, as you know, remains under investigation by the Fulton County District Attorney. What do you think could come of that investigation? And do you expect Trump to get charged?
Well, I'm a structural engineer. I'm not a lawyer. Now, leave that to the legal profession. But that's why I wanted to give people all the information. Because we've been facing this really when you go back to 2019, when I took office in January, we had 9 lawsuits from Stacey Abrams about voter suppression. So these stolen election claims really wreak havoc with our civil discourse and really confidence in the election process. So Stacey Abrams said voter suppression. President Trump, he said voter fraud. It's the same coin, just two different sides. But what it does is it really destroys trust in the election process.
In your book, you lay out election facts that debunk the false claims that the Georgia election was stolen. But even as the head of your state's elections, do you think it's possible to move people's thinking if they believe Trump's lies about 2020?
That's why I wrote the book. I lay it out there, and if people want to pick points with it, yeah, show me your evidence. But that's what we've done. We've run down every single allegation that was made. At the end of the day, President Trump came up short. There was never significant enough fraud to overturn the result of the election. And that's why it came up nearly 12,000 votes short. But I wanted to get this out so people could really look at it. But then I talk about the big issue moving forward. And that really gets down to integrity, the core issue. When you have integrity, you'll have trust, and then you can get things done. Without integrity, there's no trust and nothing ever happens. And so I think that's a core issue that we need to be looking at for all elected officials up and down the line, from Water and Sewer Board to all offices, the highest office in this land. I think it's very important. That's why I said integrity counts.
And I do want to just piggyback off of a thought that you just brought up a moment ago, because you do also criticize Georgia Democrats, namely Stacey Abrams, writing that she undermined Georgia's electoral system by acknowledging but not conceding her narrow loss in the governor's race back in 2018. Abrams has repeatedly rejected that criticism, saying that her complaints were about Republican efforts to purge state voter rolls before the vote. How do you respond to that?
2 weeks ago in Virginia, she was trying to help Terry McAuliffe win that race. And she said, just because you win doesn't mean you won. And so she really, in effect, has still never conceded that she lost. And so we want to make sure that we're treating both sides the same, holding to that objective standard of what is the truth and what is the law. And as Secretary of State, I've shown that I'll stand in the gap and I'll fight hard for honest and fair elections.
And you're facing a difficult re-election campaign in the next year. You take shots at Congressman Jody Hice in the book, a Trump-endorsed opponent you're facing in the Republican primary. What message do you hope that this book gets across to Georgia voters that may be relevant to this race?
Well, as it relates to Congress, I gave them a 10-page letter, a point-by-point rebuttal on January 6th. I don't know if they read it or not, but I do know that Congressman Hice, he certified his own race with those same machines, the same ballots. And he said that was a very good race. And yet for President Trump, he said he couldn't, go ahead and certify that race. Same ballots, same machines. That's a double-minded person. And as a pastor, he should know better.
How do you think that you and others could build back trust in our election system among your fellow Republicans who believe false claims of widespread voter fraud?
Well, I think, for example, last night in Virginia, we had record voter turnout. And Republicans won. I think Republicans need to understand we shouldn't be afraid of voter turnout. It's a good thing. It really means that voters are engaged. When we have a positive, unifying, uplifting message, we'll do quite well. When we marry that with people of integrity and strong character, then people really have something that they can lean into. And so that's what we really look for, so that when people are looking for who they're going to vote for all these seats, they don't skip those sections and they make sure they vote up and down the ballot. And I think that that's why integrity is a very important key issue, an integral element for a politician who's going to run for office.
And lastly, I think it was back in January that you appeared on Good Morning America, and George Stephanopoulos had asked you if you would still vote for Donald Trump if he is to run again. At the time, you seemed uncertain, or at least not sure that you would not vote for him again. Any opinions now, almost a year later, if he would still be able to get your vote?
Well, he's not on the ballot right now. In fact, right now, we just finished up a mayor's race. We have runoffs in Georgia. And then I have my primary next year, and we have 2022. So let's let each election stand on its own merit, and we'll worry about 2024 when we get a whole lot closer.
Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, we thank you so much for your time. Integrity Counts is available wherever books are sold.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.